Hey, lady.
Hello, how are you? How are you? Here we are again. How exciting.
Here we are. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah,
Good.
I am. I'm really good today, actually. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So what have you got for me today then?
Well, let's explore freedom.
Ooh. Yeah, I think like the first thing that comes to mind for me on that is that there's two different aspects to that. And that's the difference, I think, between how we might perceive whether or not we're free and the actual physical freedom. So, physically, I could be locked in somewhere and therefore I wouldn't be free to physically move from that space. But I don't think they're the prisons that we're mostly in. It's not that, is it? It's inside our heads, the perception of freedom that is so much more restrictive. It's like that I don't know if you've heard that this kind of story that's shared quite often about, there's a baby elephant in the circus, and when the baby elephant's really young, they put rope around its ankle and just a little stake in the ground, and because the elephant's only little, it can't escape from this system that's put in place to keep it. But when the elephant's grown up, that same system holds the elephant in place. Because by that point, the elephant doesn't believe it can escape. So even though the elephant's massive by this point, it can't get away because it still believes that it's the system, the belief has been created that the elephant can't get away. Now it believes it can't get away, even though it physically could if it wanted to.
Yeah.
And I guess we live in these thought story created illusory traps, don't we, where we don't follow our passion, our joy, we often talk about the feel, following that good feeling. So for example, we'll get a really good idea about something and then we'll squash it down. We'll feel an amazing, excited, I feel really passionate about this. And then, you can't talk about that and you're going to look stupid and that's not for you. And, or we'll maybe find another human being really interesting or attractive, or it might be an idea that we might want to work with them, but no, I can't do that. So we have that feeling flowing through us. And I think that is the essence of freedom. But then the stories keep us trapped often in a stationary position. I think when I think about my business in particular, there's definitely been things that have held me in a stuck, the freeze part of fight, flight, or freeze, where I'm just not moving forward because even though there's these inspired ideas coming, I'm squashing them down because I don't think I can do them. So you don't do them then, do you? Because it feels like you can't, because it feels uncomfortable. And I think that's one of the things that I think is interesting about the difference between when we get upset and we have an unpleasant feeling, and that's kind of letting us know you've got a poor state of mind. Don't speak to your loved one right now because you're about to say something unpleasant or speak sharply to them, or don't follow that feeling that's saying you need a bottle of wine before you can function the rest of the evening. Like that's a different kind of, it's the same feeling, but it's telling us something. It's telling us to hold back. Whereas if we have an inspired idea, then we have that stuck feeling, that kind of, you can't do that feeling. That's really telling us that we have to move through that. Because if we don't move through that, we're not following this wisdom or intuition or whatever you want to call it. So sometimes The freedom is on the other side of the discomfort. And sometimes I think I can be waiting to feel okay before I'll act. And that's not freedom. That's my thinking squashing me down and keeping me in a little tiny box, which is not very free. So, how about you? What are your thoughts on freedom?
That was really great, Claire. Yeah. And it's interesting. I've heard the elephant story before, but I saw something new in your sharing of it. And really saw, like, as little children, right? We come into this world and we're free to explore. We're actually encouraged, typically, or in my experience, maybe not everywhere, but we're encouraged to explore our hands and our feet and what's around. And, I used to take great pleasure in showing my kids new things and seeing it through their eyes and getting down to their level. And then, then there's a time where we tie them up a little bit. We tether them and we've been tethered a bit. It's like, well, you can't say that, and you need to dress like this when you go here, and you can't say that in front of grandma, and that is, this is inappropriate, and this is appropriate, and there's all of these, rules, and it can be, and just those are our ties. Yeah, the sense of freedom that I've really been seeing, I see, is freedom is really settling into, relaxing into, embracing, loving, opening up, clipping those ties to everything, and just seeing without all of that, without all of the rules and the shoulds. Who am I? What am I about? How would I speak? How would I relate to people? What would I do? And there might still be times where I would be more of me in some company and hold back a little bit of me in others. That may not necessarily be that I'm trying to be something I'm not. I'm just recognizing that, okay, when I talk with this person, I can't really go deep because that's not what we do. What I do with this person is I have a lot of fun. We joke around and so there might be conversations that I would have with someone else that I wouldn't have with one another. So it's not really, it's kind of going all over. So I'm kind of seeing it that it's not that I'm not free to be who I am. It's just like this situation or this person or this company or this brings this part of me out. The playful, the mischievous, like, what kind of trouble can we get into? How much fun can we have? And then there's others where there's a connect, like you and I feel like I can have conversations that go in, around, and loop and deep. Well, actually, and also I can have fun with you. So there's a lovely mix there. So freedom, how I'm seeing it today. And because it can change, right? Our perspective is always shifting and changing and deepening and heightening, widening, is really about allowing, being, just expressing all that you are. And being okay too, knowing that, like, I'm going to seek out opportunities to express more me. There's some things that I don't express with my husband as much as I would with a friend. There's things that you and I talk about that I wouldn't maybe talk to the same depth. So it's like, I know that there are humans in the world, and there are situations, and there are hammocks in trees where I can just let all of me out. To me, that kind of feels like a sense of, it feels like freedom. And in talking about, you had mentioned business, and for me too, I'm seeing that I have been holding back because I know that if I'm all of me in a public space, that I'm not holding anything back, and that there is going to be some who I repel and some who I attract. Actually, business is a really great, because that's what it's like in our personal life too. Brings up a lot, stirs up a lot of thought around how you should do it and shouldn't do it. And really, it's just about just being you.
It's interesting, as you're saying that, I'm thinking that probably the place where I do more keep myself in check or not be the full expression of Clareness, there are probably some individuals in my personal life who I don't feel I can, well, there's one particular individual who shall remain nameless to protect the innocent, who I feel very uneasy about being myself. I guess because it's been squashed down unpleasantly over the years. And I would say for me that I feel more free in my business. I feel, because they're just these people out on the internet, aren't they? And I just don't really care what they think about me. I don't really care what this other person thinks about me, to be fair, but I just can't be bothered with the argy-bargy of it. I can't be bothered with the after effects of if I express. I just don't want to be bothered with it, really. So I keep it very, let's talk about the weather and really neutral things, because I don't want to really be around these spikes of person. The spikes of this person is probably the best way to put it. So I would say, but when it's in my business, I don't. So, I do other videos and live things and things like that, and I regularly, twice last week, I cried live on social media. Don't care. Don't try and stop it. But I have noticed a journey with that, like from definitely kind of curtailing it a little bit and not quite expressing, not quite saying what I want to say about, perhaps about the well-being industry, and perhaps some things about how perhaps it's not pointing people in the right direction, innocently, but really not. The kind of heavy self-development stuff, and I do speak more out about that now, and I'm not really bothered. And like you say, I think people are either going to resonate with that or not, and that means some people are, people who we might align with and want to spend more time with and perhaps work with, and some are not, and that's okay. But I think, like you said, there's going to be some situations that we're not going to be our full, you're not going to go salsa dancing into a funeral, are you? I mean, even if you really like salsa dancing and it's your thing, you know, we kind of know how there are some, but there's just, you just wouldn't want to hurt people. I think that's maybe it for me. Either to not hurt myself in an outside in mixed up kind of a way by I suppose I'm avoiding being myself in some situations, some of which is because I realise that's just not, I don't want to upset everybody who's at a funeral by salsa dancing in it, but also then I don't want to be in this spiky situation with this other person. So that.
Yeah. I just saw too, there are things that we can perceive that are in the way, that I can't be all of me because, you know, the body, the circumstances, the, you know, whatever outside that we're seeing that, you know, if I was more or less this, then I could, or when I ABC, then I can. Or we might see it as, it's just not available to me in my life.
Yeah.
That is not freedom. But that is like, that is a innocently mistaken boxing in, tying up, shackling.
But also it's us doing the best we can, isn't it? Like there's freedom in the realization that this is a person who's been in my life a very long time. Our relationship is probably not like, it's not in the front of my mind to even attempt to change it now. I tried too long, can't be bothered anymore. You know, and I think that's okay. And I think there's freedom in just going, she's psychologically innocent. I'm doing the best I can to navigate this relationship while ever it's still part of my life. And therefore the freedom is the acceptance of that, I think, rather than where I would have been before would be, well, I'm in this spiritual conversation, I should be past this by now, and why do I still not have a better relationship? You know, like I would have been really unkind to myself. And I see that a lot in this conversation when I work with people that, you know, people who are on a spiritual journey think that there's not a lot of freedom in thinking you're supposed to be further on than you are, or better than you are in whatever situation, or not reacting, or, you know, I think there's a lot of freedom around, that's just happened. I've just been a little bit sharp with this person because they've done this thing again that my conditioning is just not having any of that. I have a reaction to this. It's happened again. But then not then getting in the car and on my way home going, oh God, but I've been in the 3 principles this long now and I should know better, and why am I not more tuned in? And, you know, well, because in that moment I'm not, so what? Like, you know, that is freedom too, I think, is that not beating yourself up about things.
Absolutely. The understandings that free us, we can turn them around. We can use anything to tie ourselves up. It's really great to see.
Yeah, bizarrely, even a conversation that is a complex conversation that points towards compassion and points to, you know, everybody's doing the best they can with the thinking that looks true to them in the moment. That we could still then use that to beat ourselves. There is much irony, but I don't know whether you've noticed that in conversations with people, that is one of the, you know, we both spend some time in a volunteer space around this conversation, and that, what I would say, was probably one of the number one things that people come up with. Something's happened to me, I'm upset about it. Oh, but I shouldn't be upset about it because I've been coming in this room for 2 years and I should know better. You like it. And as soon as you say,
Yes.
oh, it's okay to be upset, you just see
Yeah.
them go,
Yeah.
oh, is it? Yeah, I go, because I get upset all the time and I'm apparently the queen of calm. So yeah, and if you'd seen me yesterday losing my you-know-what, you'd see that it's okay to just sometimes lose plot with things.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
Right. Absolutely. We're a whole package. We're a whole dang package. Like, let's just love it up.
Love all the experiences. And that, I mean, that quote, that Sydney Banks quote, the one that's, if the only thing that people learn was not to be afraid of that experience, that alone would change the world, is probably, I know it's lots of people's favorite quotes, but I just, it
Yeah.
says it all really, doesn't it? That
Yeah.
we're allowed to just be human. We're supposed to, be full of life sometimes and not so much others. We're supposed to be angry sometimes and anxious others and happy sometimes and sad others. It's we're not supposed to be this. I said this to a lady today who met at a networking event. Like, we're not consistent. We're not supposed to be consistent. We're not supposed to be this, like a robot. You're supposed to go and up and down, and there's freedom in seeing that, because not only are we then accepting it, but then not full on trying to do something about how we're feeling all the time, which of course just gives us loads more to do and is tiring, as I've discovered over many years.
Absolutely. That's living.
Mm.
All of those experiences, all of those emotions, that is part of the journey. That is the delight. I would be pretty dang bored if life just moved along at a pace where there were no ups and downs and sideways. Yeah.
But how much time do people spend trying to create that? No ups and downs and no sideways, either by trying to control, it's that whack-a-mole thing, isn't it? Either by trying to hold all the moles down at the same time, or hitting them until, in the hope that eventually they'll all stay down and then a beam of light called happiness will come down and is on the head. Or by trying to control this, how's this thinking? How's it feeling? What's it doing? Thoughts, feelings, behaviors, trying to control all of those.
Yeah.
That to try and make this like that. Which is, it's comical, because I said this lady to say, I said, when we're waiting, like daffodils everywhere here now, and that we're waiting for the daffodils to come. We're not standing over the daffodils going, get a move on. Like energetically, the daffodils will just come when it's time for daffodils, and then they'll go, and then the next flower will come. And that is just this flow of nature that we just accept is, it's sometimes bright and green, and sometimes it's brown because it's autumn, and sometimes it's hot, and it's just all flowing, and things are growing and dying, and we forget that's us, that we are organic like that. We're organic beings. We're not machines.
That is freedom. Allowing the growth. Yeah. The ebb and the flow.
And knowing it's all okay.
Yeah. 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 Hey, I would love it if do you mind ending on repeating that quote? Because
shall I do?
we say it a lot. We do. Like, I've said it, and I've heard it many, many times. And I've heard it so many times that it's like, let's just let it sort of hang out in the airways and really just take a moment to just be with that. That's awesome.
Cool.
If you would.
Yeah, I will do. So if the only thing that people learned was not to be afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world, which was said by Sydney Banks. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you, Claire. See you again soon.
Yeah, you too.